We are just moments away from President Trump announcing a reset on Biden-era fuel rules that could result in billions of dollars in savings for the auto industry. I want to bring in Republican Congressman from New York and member of the House Financial Services and Foreign Affairs Committee, Mike Lawler. Congressman, it's so great to have you here. What do you make of this rollback that we expect to hear from President Trump in the next few minutes?
Well, I think this is one of the president's promises that he made when he talked about affordability. We want to reduce cost. We want to bring down energy costs, housing costs, food costs. We want to bring down health care costs. And so I think what the administration is looking at is, from a regulatory standpoint, in addition to the work we did with the Working Families Tax Cut bill, what we can do to reduce the overall cost of living, cost of goods. And so I support what the administration is trying to do. A lot of the regulations that were put in place by the Biden administration drove up costs of goods and costs of energy, and that has been one of the biggest focuses that we have. It's why we're focused on permitting reform and need to get permitting reform passed this Congress. And that really, I think, jives well with what the president and the administration is trying to do here. And
seeing the energy sector thrive once again in the state of New York. Let me ask you about this. The Wall Street Journal is writing about the great American baby shortage. And this is a big story about what's going on with families in our nation. President Trump is looking at ways to incentivize Americans to have children. Watch the president.
We are looking at programs. We're looking at, there's a certain Australian plan that people are liking and they're talking about. You know what I mean? There's a plan where, not for children necessarily, but it's for people, working people. And we are looking at other things different from this. I think this is very unique, but different from this, but very important.
You know, and what we've seen is that the younger generation is not having children. Therefore, that affects the housing market and the economy. Redfin's predicting this great housing reset. I keep saying, if you want to talk about affordability in Washington, D.C., you've got to talk about the housing market. Your thoughts?
1,000% correct. I'm on the Housing and Insurance Subcommittee. It's one of my top priorities in Congress. I've talked to the president directly about the need to focus on housing, and obviously with his background in real estate and construction, he understands housing better than most. And so to me, when you look at the issue of affordability, housing is right there amongst it. It's why I led the fight to lift the cap on SALT and provide real tax relief for Americans who pay high property taxes directly tied to home ownership. You look at the fact that most people's retirement is invested in their home. We need to lift the cap on capital gains when you sell your home so that you can actually put that money towards the purchase of a new home or retirement and aging in place, aging in, many people obviously go to senior living or assisted living. We want to be able to help families afford that. And so you have to lift the cap on that. I have a major housing plan, 208 pages, 39 provisions focused on things from manufactured housing to expanding opportunity zones to using surplus federal land to build affordable and workforce housing. There is a lot that we can do to actually effectuate change at a federal level to increase access to capital, to help incentivize states when it comes to local and state impediments to construction and build more housing. We are over 8 million units underbuilt nationwide. And to your earlier point, this is a big reason why Americans are not having as many children. The birth rate has declined from 2 children per woman to 1.66 over the last 15 years, in large measure because of the cost of living and the cost of having a family. It has gotten expensive, and it's part of the reason why in the Working Families Tax Cut package, in addition to expanding the child tax credit, we created these new accounts, the Trump accounts, so that money could be invested. And you saw this week, Michael Dell and his wife announced that they are going to put $250 in addition to the $1,000 that every newborn will get under this plan. That has the potential, if invested properly, to grow massively, and that's something that can help a child go to college, pay for a house long term. So these are important steps that we can help make it easier for families to afford to live and to actually have more children. And it's part of the reason why I've actually introduced a tax credit bill with respect to IVF, to make IVF more affordable for families who are trying to build and grow a family.
We're watching your work in Washington. I've only got about 40 seconds in the show left. You signed a letter to the Senate leadership. You want them to include the House ahead of next week's vote. Real quick, tell us about it.
Look, we need to pass an Affordable Care Act premium tax credit extension. I've proposed 2 years with income limits, some insurance reforms. I do believe we need to pass the PBM reform bill that was part of the package at the end of last Congress that got stripped out, as well as work towards HSAs and expanding access to those and phasing them in so that families can use HSAs to pay for premiums. I think there's a deal to be had here. We need to work in a bipartisan and bicameral way to get it done. Time is ticking. We need to deliver for the American people and ensure that their health care premiums don't continue to spike, and it requires long-term reforms to the Unaffordable Care Act, known as Obamacare.
We're going to be watching it all. Congressman Mike Lawler, thank you so much, sir.